Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I am Caesarina, and I'm happy to have you join me once again for something interesting. I hope it is interesting for you because it's interesting, of course, to me. That's why I'm sharing it with you. So, as you know, our region has been very active for the last 10 or so days with character. I want to say kudos to all those who contributed to the success of Character. Tonight, as I speak to you, there is a closing ceremony going on, final performances, and I am going to tune in as soon as I'm done here talking with you guys. But I will tell you that I am very proud of our region for having member states that were fully represented with a whole lot of performers, a whole lot of cultural advocates and cultural addicts, you could possibly say. They were the stalwarts, they were the younger ones just coming into our cultures of the region. And what was amazing was ensuring that you could always see the thread of where we came from in those various performances. I don't know for you, and I hope you took advantage of probably viewing some of them. I did. I used to look forward to coming from work just to check out the next country's performance, whoever the country was. For me, it was character and it was our thing, and I should tune in. And so I was happy to tune in. I will miss it, and probably those that I missed, I will probably go back and look for them so that I can be part of them. Of course, I had one or two concerns, which I highlighted on another platform. And probably one of the key concerns from you was just how some of the national flags were being handled. I think we can do a bit better in terms of how we carry our flags and how we treat them. I know sometimes we get so excited, we love our countries and we're proud of our beautiful flags, and we just want to carry them in every way, shape, and form. But I think it's important too for us to realize that we have to protect and preserve our flags. So that said, our region is very much alive, our region is very positive, our region is definitely shining, if you ask me, in a positive light. In the craziness of the world, it was good to see 10 days of, you could say, clean activities that was safe for the majority, if you look at it, safe for the people who were there, and definitely gave our region something to shout about, something to celebrate. I want to take some time now to take my focus from character to politics. On the basis that, as you know, and if you don't yet know, I'm telling you that in the next 2 days, there will be an election, a general election in Jamaica. Jamaica is part of the Caribbean region, although it seems a bit, far off, but it's one of us. And Jamaica's election is coming up on the 3rd of September. Well, dear friends, one of the things that I saw this week that struck me, and it has been playing on my mind for the longest while, is what was called a fiery debate between the two main candidates in the general election, or the two political leaders, you should say, of the various political parties in Jamaica. And so I personally was definitely struck by a number of things that I saw there, and I want to highlight some of it. First off, I must say that I was very impressed with the fact that a country in the region is able to facilitate a debate between key political leaders for all to see, those in the country, especially their electorate, to see, and even those of us who do not vote in the country, who are not from the country, able to witness. For me, that was beautiful, that was great, that was positive for democracy. I personally promote democracy. I think it's something that sets you apart. It shows maturity, it shows strength, and it shows a level of openness and transparency to the people who participate in the process to make it what it is, democracy itself or democratic itself. So on August 28th, 2025, Jamaica's two top political leaders clashed over trust, accountability, and the future of governance of their countries. And so you have the Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, who is the leader of the Jamaica Labour Party, and the opposition leader, Mark Golding, who is the leader of the PNP. Their debate definitely went on as something that the people could look towards. They could get from these leaders, what it is they and their parties were proposing for the future of their countries. And so some key things stood out for me, and I thought I would share them briefly with you. And for me, the bottom line is that other islands, other member states in the region, other islands should take a page from the fact that Jamaicans can bring their leaders together for a political debate a few days before a general election. And it's something I know that elements in my own country have been asking for over the years. And we've not quite seen this happen. But I think it is more and more important for us to have those leaders on the various sides stand in the same place. Yes, varying views. Yes, differences. Yes, they may not even like each other. But the fact that they are able to stand on the same platform, the same podium, the same stage rather, two different podiums, same stage, and give their own perspectives on questions that were being asked to them by journalists, by people online, they had various ways that they were capturing people's questions. So the fact that they were able to do that within the same space was to me exemplary, and it's something we can all learn from in the region. Some of the key exchanges that happened there were there was a lot of emphasis on corruption and integrity. There was the issue of financial transparency that was raised. There was tax policy and economic vision for the country. There was identity and citizenship. As a matter of fact, Mark Golding, the opposition leader, he literally produced his birth certificate at that particular debate because there's been questions asked about his citizenship, asked about whether he renounced his citizenship for one other country because he has to participate in the elections in his country. And or probably his birth was being questioned, where he was born, etc. And so, because he's of not of a skin complexion, but he looks a bit more Caucasian, and so most likely some aspects or elements of the country were probably questioning his birth. And from all indication, he was born in Jamaica, yes. And so he went as far as to furnish the general public with his birth certificate. And as I say, he presented his birth certificate and he explained renouncing his British citizenship due to public sentiment, and Holness, on the other hand, was criticized earlier for duality implications. So both of them had some questions or questions about dual citizenship on their lives, and so there was that issue that had to be dealt with as well, among other issues pertaining to their country. Some key things that I think we can all take from that particular debate. As I said, the key exchanges were on the various things that I mentioned: corruption, integrity, financial transparency, tax policy and economic vision, identity and citizenship. And then there was the tone and style. We look at the tone and style that was used by those speakers or by the two leaders. You could say that there was a highlight of rhetorical style where Holness, he was firm, he presented a moral framing. Golding was technical, legalistic, and responsive. I mean, each guy always had a certain response, something to give back. And I felt like they both represented themselves very well. There was a point when I was watching where I saw as if Mr. Golding was a bit, being cornered verbally, but he bounced back. Yes, he bounced back at some point. There was also conflict style in the sense there were times that you got some aggressive rebuttals from both sides. There were some personal zingers, or what you would say, personal jabs, verbal jabs and attacks, which may not necessarily have been the best at that, in that environment. But they were also controlled quite well by the moderator. The moderators did an excellent job in controlling. One of the things I noted was whenever they were given some time to respond to a question, I think like a minute, whenever that time was up, the moderator would immediately, didn't have, even if it was the prime minister, even if it was the opposition leader, they would just be told their time is up, next person, or that sort of thing, or next question. Overall, both leaders very well abided by the rules of the debate, which is key. Because if you're having a debate between leaders, some people might feel, well, I'm the leader, I can see, or I'm in charge, so I can. No. At that point, nobody's in charge. You're on the way towards the election. Everybody's on the same keel, if you ask me, on the same level. And it's important to respect the moderator, no matter who that moderator is. I also felt like the moderator was quite impartial in guiding the debate and taking charge of the debate, so to speak. I think there were two, a male and a female, but I more heard of the male's voice, and saw the male more authoritative in terms of handling and controlling the debate. So for me, I felt like there was quite a bit of impartiality, which was great, and it showed again a great level of maturity, political maturity on the part of all parties. What can we learn? What can we learn, or what other countries, what other nations, what other leaders possibly can learn from that particular occurrence or that particular activity, the debate between both political leaders of Jamaica? One of them is to own your record firmly and publicly. Own your record firmly and publicly. The leader, Andrew Holness, continuously to referred to his declared transparency, and he constantly said it. He was reaffirming his transparency. So that is a line that I'm sure the people who are probably in doubt, want to see who can I trust. And so it's important for each speaker to be consistent in what they were presenting, and Holness did a good job at that, in my view. No, I'm not here trying to hold any sides. Obviously, I'm not from Jamaica. I don't have any political interest in any of the parties, but I'm just, based on what I saw, just sharing some thoughts on it. Certify and verify your declarations. Golden emphasized certification to counter doubts. He emphasized certification to counter doubts. And he even demonstrated certification as well, just to ensure that people had no doubt. So it's important to give clarity to people and verification on any matter that they may have doubts, especially if it's in the air and people are constantly buzzing about it. It can hurt a political leader, a person who wants to get into politics, if they're not very transparent about whatever, issue that is being raised by the electorate or by the possible voters going forward. If you're going in a debate, of course, the leaders, if they're going in a debate, they have to prepare. You have to be prepared for attacks and counter attacks as well. And you have to counter those attacks with facts, not hearsay, not innuendos, but facts. You have to be able to substantiate what it is you're saying. So in any debate, there is always the need for facts, be them statistics, be them research results, that the data that people find, whatever it is. But it's important that there is some level of facts, testimonials, but what people can see and or hear and or refer to, reference, because there is factual matter, or there is you could say empirical evidence in some cases, as it pertains to those matters, especially being able to counter those attacks when you are accused of something negative, be able to counter those things with facts, especially when you are attacked. And I must say, on the front of the on the base on the to the credit of the both debaters, the both leaders, they both responded with not just statements, but they had data. They both presented data to substantiate their perspectives. Another thing we can learn is to frame economic issues around citizens' real lives. Frame economic issues around the real lives of citizens. Yes, that's what citizens are concerned about, the bread and butter issue of their lives. Not all the superficial things there, but just their daily. Can we help them to meet their daily needs, and how are you going to do it? How tangible is it going to be? Can you substantiate the promises that you are making? Can you sustain the promises that you are making? And so Golding tied tax policy to middle class relief, interesting, while Wholeness appealed to historical party achievements. So he dug deep, looked back at the achievement of his party before, and presented the people with something that they hopefully would be able to trust. In the meantime, Mr. Golding tied the tax policy to the middle class relief. We all know that if the middle class is relieved, if the middle class is healthy in any society, there is a better prospect for growth. There's a better prospect for the decrease in poverty, and there is a better chance for those in the, I don't like to say low class because for me it's a derogatory term, but those who are not at the middle level in society, but they are below, would be able to rise with the help of the middle class that is rising, looking to go higher. So it's an interesting concept, and it's something again that the people would have to process and determine, do I go this way? Do I go that way? Of course, another thing that we can learn is that public identity matters. Public identity matters. And Golding proactively addressed national loyalty concerns by showing his paperwork. Again, I said that before. So the identity of of people matter to the public a lot, very much so. And if we can show who you are by evidence, apart from what maybe people are saying, but that you can bring proof of who you are in any setting in life, then they stand a chance. Hopefully, they stand a chance. So, being able to give sort of evidential comfort, is that a word, evidential? But being able to give evidence gives comfort to your people. Okay. Um, Another thing is take ethical high ground. Take ethical high ground. Holness invoked moral authority repeatedly. He constantly referred to moral authority. And if a leader can sustain that and maintain that, and if a leader can project that constantly, then people may more than likely trust them. Because for the people who are concerned about the real daily living matters, morality is important. And even to those who are conservative within the society, morality is important. So being able to take, yes, it's a high ground, but being able to reflect ethics, high ethics in your undertakings, in your promises, in your presentations will make a difference to the electorate. And then the final thing we can take from that is to stay strategic amidst the heat of the debate. Stay strategic amidst the heat of the debate. And that calls for some level of emotional intelligence. It's like a lot of psychology going on there between you and the other person. And you have to try to stay above as much as possible. So you have to be strategic amid the heat, almost like an internal fan, keeping you cool, even in the midst of the political heat and the fact that you are being challenged by the opponent. So you might be lashed with harsh rhetoric from the other person. You may be attacked verbally and you may be accused, but trying to maintain your strategy that you came with, which should have been to convince not so much the opposition leader, because their head is where it is. When I say the opposition meaning your opponent in the debate, not so much to convince your opponent in the debate, but to convince the people who are viewing in the room and outside of the room via social media, via various media platform, that these are the people you want to reach. And so your strategy and sticking to it is the key in order to win them over. Conclusively, I will say that it's important in those debates to kind of keep the personal attacks at bay, because to me that's not what people want. It's not personal attacks. While one might feel great to hit a jab to the other person, but people are more concerned about the depth of policy depth, and also what kind of impact that you're having on the voter. How are you framing your impact for them? So in a democracy defined by trust, clarity, and accountability, that debate showed us how leaders can simultaneously fight hard and inform deeply. So while they were at odds with each other, they both fought hard and importantly sought to inform their people or the general public deeply with the hope to gain their trust and, most importantly, their X or their vote on the 3rd of September. So, again, election date 3rd of September. In Jamaica, I wish them well. I wish you Jamaicans, if you're Jamaican and you're viewing this, I wish you and your country well, whatever you side you're on. I urge you to go out to vote because your vote is your power, your vote is your voice, and it's a franchise that we did not always have, and it's important that we cherish it and protect it. So go out and vote in your country and make the impact that you want your vote to make. Remember, one vote can make a big difference in any democracy. I wish Jamaica well. I wish our region well. I wish our Caribbean continued success. And by extension, wishing the world will see this and take a page from it that amidst our differences, we can sit in the same room, debate matters, and come up with and successful, hopefully successful conclusions for the betterment not of the minority simply, but of the majority of our nations. God bless you. Thank you for tuning in. If you've not subscribed to this channel, you like what I share, I urge you to consider. Subscribing to the channel, and also leave me a comment. Tell me what you think you thought about. If you saw that debate, tell me a little bit about what you observed. I was happy to watch it. I couldn't watch all of it, but I was happy to watch some of it. It was very enlightening to me to understand some of the dynamics and the political matters of Jamaica. And so I wish again Jamaicans all the best, and God bless our beautiful region. God bless you, and come again. Bye.